This video is for polynomial 2. Polynomial number 2 is given here, and the window is also listed. So first thing is to put it into the graphing calculator. Our polynomial is negative, parentheses x plus 2 squared. Negative, remember, is this button down here. Not the minus sign, but the negative sign. Negative, parentheses, x plus 2, parentheses, squared, parentheses, x minus, so this button, 3, close parentheses. The scale and the window, so go to window. Minimum x is negative 10, maximum x is positive 10, scale of 1. And then minimum y is negative 50, maximum y is positive 50, scale of 10. So that's the same as the previous problem in the previous video. So hit graph. And on our paper we will first sketch the x-intercepts. So the x-intercepts are at positive 3, and this looks like negative 2, but if you're not sure, you can just go verify it in the table. So if you go to the table, just make sure it's actually an x-intercept. So negative 2, 0, that's one x-intercept, and 3, 0 is the other x-intercept. And then a sketch after you plot the x-intercepts. So for the description, the first thing is to describe the x-intercepts. So starting at 3, the graph starts on one side of the x-axis and goes through to the other side. So we can say that it passes through 3. At this x-intercept, the graph does not go through to the other side of the x-axis. It bounces off of it. So bounce at negative 2. And then we want to describe where the graph starts and ends. So on the right side is the start of the graph. It starts below the x-axis. So we say that that is a negative start. The end is on the left side, ends above the x-axis, which is positive, so ends positive. We're also going to look at polynomial 3. Polynomial 3, we need to change the equation to parentheses x plus 3 cubed. To do cubed, press this little caret button and upside down V, and then cubed. If your calculator uses the caret symbol on the screen, that's fine. If it gives you the 3 up here as an exponent, you may need to arrow to the right to get out of the exponent before you keep typing. Otherwise, it'll start typing the next part up in the exponent. So arrow to the right to get out of the exponent, and then type the remaining parts of the equation. Parentheses, x plus 1, parentheses, x minus 1. The window is slightly different than the last couple of problems, so go to the window and change it to a minimum of negative 6, a maximum of positive 6, scale 1, a minimum of negative 40, a maximum of positive 40, and a scale of 10. Hit graph. So here our x-intercepts are at 1, negative 1, and then this one, again, if you're not sure, then just look at the table. So I know there's one at 1 and at negative 1. And for this one, it looks like it's at negative 3, but go to the table to make sure. And it is. So at negative 3 we have a root, at negative 1 we have a root, and at 1. So positive 1, negative 1, and negative 3. Now looking at the graph and trying to sketch this, so we start positive here, and go through. We go through here. Now when we get to this root, notice there's this strange behavior in the curve. We say that it's passing through -3 slowly. So there's this dip. It kind of flattens out as it goes through that root. So to kind of exaggerate that on my paper so that we can see clearly that this is a slightly different behavior, I'm going to bend the graph and make it flatten out as it goes through that root. This behavior right here, we say that it goes through slowly because it has that bend. So when we describe the graph, so goes through -3 because it goes from one side to the other side of the x-axis slowly. Instead of just going through, it's going through slowly. It's going through -1, so from this side it's going through the other side, and at +1 it's also going through. So -1 and +1 is just going through. Not going through slowly, but just going through. The graph starts positive because it starts here above the x-axis. And the graph ends negative because it's ending below the x-axis. So in summary, when you describe the remaining 4 graphs, you're going to describe the roots, so whether it goes through, whether it bounces, or whether it goes through slowly. Those are the 3 options. And then you're also going to describe where the graph starts, positive or negative, and where the graph ends, positive or negative. The start is the right side of the graph, the end is the left side of the graph.